Okay, good. Finally, we're starting. All right, Bava Batra Pehei Amud Bet, Pechet Amud Bet, excuse me. So first of all, welcome back after, I think it was Tav Yezer. We had 6 months straight of shiurim without any, just the way the calendar worked and this and that. I think there were like no breaks for a long time, and then we just had a long Ben Azmanim, Pesach, Yom HaShoah, so war, yeah. Welcome back. It's Yom Zikaron, so we'll do Lilu Nishmat Kol Netzachim, Big Ganeden Tem Menuchatam, and there should be no more wars, and the Chaylim should come home safely. Okay, so this week we will be discussing a topic that we can understand why the Midrash is bothered, and it's a question that I think Al Derech HaPshat demands to be asked as well. And that is that the Tochacha appears in the Torah twice. There's a Tochacha in Parashat Bechukotai, and there's a Tochacha in Parashat Kitavo. Right? The one in Bechukotai is Hashem saying the Tochacha, and the one in Kitavo is Moshe saying the Tochacha.
The same text?
It's not the same text. It's the same concept that there's brachot followed by klalot. It says, if you listen to the mitzvot, then all these good things will happen to you, and if you don't, all these bad things will happen to you. But they're not the same in terms of the details of the good things and the bad things. But what is consistent between the two of them is that the blessings are 11 psukim, I think in Bechukotai, and 14 in Kitavo, and then the curses are 3-4 times as long. In other words, the blessings are, if you listen to the mitzvot, there's going to be good things that happen to you, and I'll talk about it a little bit. But if you don't listen to the mitzvot, all these really, really horrific things are going to happen to you, and I'm going to go on and on and on and on about it, way longer than I spent talking about the reward you'll get if you listen to the mitzvot. And the question that begs to be asked about the Tochacha is, I thought we're dealing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who loves Am Yisrael and loves Bnei Yisrael, and is a God of tzedek, and he does good things. So why does he spend so much more time dealing with the klalot than with the brachot? So much more ink is spilled, as it were. So this is something that bothers the Midrash, and we'll see the Midrash comes up with, tries very hard to reverse that whole conclusion and say, actually what's going on here is the exact opposite. Right? It's like a good Dvar Torah in shul is always where the rabbi will ask a question. The rabbi will ask a question, and he'll say the answer is exactly the opposite of what the question was. Right? That's how you know it's a good shir. So that's basically what we're going to be doing here. And we'll see different versions of the Midrash that we'll look at the psukim as well. It might be worth like pulling a chumash off the shelf because we'll need to reference some psukim as we look at this. Vayikra. Okay, so let's begin with that. Okay, so the Gemara Bava Batra Pechet Amud Bet says as follows: Amar Rabbi Levi, Bo Re'eh Shelo Kimidat HaKadosh Baruch Hu Midat Basar V'Adam. So come and see how the attributes of Hashem are different than those of flesh and blood. Right? This is a common opening to Midrashim. Excuse me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Be'ech Yisrael ושתיים וקללן בשמונה. Hashem blessed Yisrael with 22 and cursed them with 8. We'll see what that means in a second. Berchan בעשרים ושתיים. What does that mean? That in Parshat Vayikra, in Parshat Bechukotai, when he begins the brachot, which is the first part, it says Im Bechukotai telechu, and it goes from there. The good part goes until the word Va'alech itchem komemiyut. So it starts with Aleph of Im Bechukotai and it ends with the Taf of komemiyut. So Rabbi Levi says the brachot include the whole Aleph bet. It starts me Aleph ad Taf. It goes from the beginning to the end. So the brachot include everything. וקללן בשמונה, but the curse is with 8. Why? Because right after komemiyut it does the curses. Mi ve'im bechukotai timasu. Right? If you don't listen to my laws, but it starts with the vav, and it goes until ve'chukotai galan afsham with the mem. From vav to mem is 8 letters. So Rabbi Levi says, don't bother me with the fact that there's 4 times as many psukim dedicated to the klalot as the bachot. The bachot are bookended with aleph and taf.
How does he know it's gematria and plus?
It's not gematria. It's the first letter is aleph and the last letter is taf of the bachot.
Yeah, well, that's
so Rabbi Levi says that the entire, as it were, aleph bet is included in the bachot. The whole bachot are kilu ein sof. It's everything. Whereas the klalot are only 8. So that shows Hashem's mercy for Bnei Yisrael. Again, as I kind of alluded to in the beginning, in my opinion, this is completely benigun to the pshatan shel dvarim, right?
Or it's a stretch. It's saying it's not about the length, it's really about the
letters.
Yeah. Right. Yep. V'ilu Moshe Rabbeinu, but then he goes even further. He says, but Moshe Rabbeinu, who said the Tochacha in Parshat Kitavo, Berchan b'shmona v'killan b'22. It's the exact opposite. The blessing is 8 and the curse is 22. How so? בשמונה, because in kitavo it says ve'aya im shemot tishma. It starts with a vav, and it goes until ve'ad la'avdam, until a mem. So whereas the curses in Vayikra are from vav to mem, the blessings in kitavo are from vav to mem. וקללן בעשרים ושתיים, and the curses are 22, but it's not aleph through taf like the blessings in Vayikra. Rather, it goes from ve'aya im lo tishma until ve'en koneh. So it goes from vav to hey. So he's doing a loop, right? He's saying from vav all the way. You go from taf, you jump to aleph. It's like, there are these card games where like the ace, what card game is the ace? The ace, are you allowed to bridge to the, to go like king ace too?
Are you allowed to do one?
Right, what? 12, 13, 1.
Oh, very
good. Yes, exactly. So Rabbi Levi.
Are you allowed to add a 1 after a 13?
Oh, yeah.
And even people who hold yes, nobody holds you can keep going. So you loop the aleph base around and then you carry on till hey. It's very controversial.
So that's what he's saying. You go all the way through taf, aleph, and you continue. You do 22 numbers in a row. So he gets to 22.
The game is for forever.
Yeah. So Rabbi Levi is not just going benigud l'pshat, but he's also contrasting Moshe Rabbeinu being someone who's a person, basav adam. He wants to curse, not wants to chas v'chalila, but he is harsher with Bnei Yisrael than Hashem, who is more merciful for them. Right. So that's Rabbi Levi's statement. So we're going to see other versions of this midrash, but I brought this Tosfot. I'm not really sure it's worth doing inside just because it's quite long. So maybe we'll skip it if we have time at the end. He talks the halachic ramifications of this midrash. But let's skip it and we'll come back to it at the end. The next Tosfot in Sota and Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph says as follows: Vim Tomar, if you will say, Hamatzinu midat puranu gdola midat tova. Right? We see in the Tochacha that the midat puranut is greater than the midat bacha and tova, in the sense that, as we said before, there's much more curse than blessing. But Tosfot says he's less focused on the number of psukim, which is what I was focused on, and more focused on the content itself. And he says, where do I see that in the Tochen? Tichtiv echa yurdof echad elef u'shnaim yanisu rivava. That it says, actually, quotes Ha'azinu, that when it comes to the bad things, if you don't listen to the mitzvot, that 1,000 will be chased by 1. In other words, 1,000 Jews who don't listen to the Torah will be chased by 1 enemy, and 2 enemies will chase 10,000 Jews. Right? If you don't listen to the Torah, you will be totally outnumbered. But v'gabei midat tova, but by the blessings, if you do listen, ktiv radfu mikem 500. So why does it say that it's a ratio of when you don't listen, 1,000 Jews will be chased by 1 enemy? When you do listen, 500 enemies will be chased by 1 Yehudi. It seems that there's what?
The ratios are off anyway. Meaning, if 1 will chase 1,000 and 2 will chase 10,000.
Sure,
it's exponential. Yeah, I guess.
There's actions, so then it's so much more.
What a lesson!
Right.
Wow.
Good.
When you're against 5,000 goyim.
מה?
אחדות where?
רשום ש1,000 ו2 רבבה. לא דומה יחיד כמו רבים.
נכון.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the goyim.
נכון, right.
Well, it also works with the Jews.
500, זהו.
No, 500 ירדופו.
לא, הפוך ממה ש...
Oh, 100 רבבה זה באמת?
No, so the bacha is רדפו מכם 5. 100. Right.
זה 1 ל-20.
1 ל-20. לעומת 1 ל...
כן.
לא, רדפו מכם 500. נכון. So it's much, right. It's much less. It's 5 to 100. Okay, thank you. Oh no, I think it's no, it's 500. רדפו מכם 500, זה כל אחד מכם. Like, האויב יהיה 500 מולך. No, I understand, but אני לא חושב שזה 1 ל-20. או שאני לא מבין את הפשט.
500.
It's not 5 מול 100, it's 500 מול 1, לא?
500, לא, התורה
No,
זה...
it's
500 run away from one of you.
500.
כן, לא, הוא אומר, he's saying that it's 5 to 100. I thought it was 500 to 1.
נכון, התורה לומד 500.
So, it's good we brought out the Chumash, בוא נוודא.
5 people will chase away 100.
100. You say 500.
That's what Shai is saying. It's just, I may have misunderstood the pshat. It doesn't change the Tosfot's question, right? It's just the scale of it. But what is
It's like the whole going on about how many... 5,000, there's billions.
יש פה תרגום חופשי,
כן,
500.
הוא גם אומר שבפורענות גדולה ממידת טוב. הפוך, למה? כי בפורענות
אבל
רודף
פה, נו,
Do you have a translation? Is it English?
נכון, אפילו אם זה היה אחד רודף 500 זה היה יותר גרוע בפורנו.
Are we trusting
כאילו,
who's it?
אפילו אם אני לא טועה, עדיין השאלה של תוספות קיימת, אבל אני מבין
Somebody's
שאולי...
written in translation.
נקרא
You
מהדי
trusting him?
משפחת
No,
קייגון.
it's five that will chase 100.
Hagen.
אוקיי, אז טוב.
Five that will chase 100.
אז צדקת,
and 100 will chase
תודה.
10,000.
אוקיי, good. אז תודה על ההערה. So I misunderstood. יופי. 5 chases 100. Okay, so good. So it's a ratio of 1 to 20 as opposed to 1 to 1,000 or more. So that's not great. So what's the answer? V'yesh lomar. So Tosfot in classic Tosfot style gives a technical cop-out answer. V'yesh lomar de'adayin gabe midat puranut ma'ari redifa v'lo hariga. Right? It says when you don't listen to the mitzvot, one oyev will chase 1,000 yudim. אבל אחא דכתיב רדפו מכם חמישה, סייפא דקרא, the end of that pasuk, when you do listen to the mitzvot, נפלו אויביכם לפניכם לחרב. So it means that the 20 to 100 is you'll kill. So even though it's less numbers, it's a more extreme act, so it's not actually midat ponut is greater than midat tova. So just an interesting point that Tosfot makes here that I thought connected to, the idea in our Gemara Bava Batra. If we look at the Yun Yaakov,
But he's still like answering in the Sagim of Tochen. The Tochen is...
נכון.
It's not real, it is worse. But it sounds like from Rabbi Levi that זה לא Tochen, זה אותיות.
right, we'll try to understand what at the end, I'll try to kind of suggest what Rabbi Levi is trying to get at. But yes, the Yun Yaakov, I really would have thought after all this time.
That's what I asked you. Do you need help with this thing?
יש להם אישור לשיעור.
Oh yeah.
תביא את אבל מישהו יתנדב את
What?
Bava Batra.
Oh wow.
יופי, תודה. I never learned.
This guy, wonder who תורם...
It was not me. I wish it was me. I think we're the only ones who use it. That I can say pretty.
It hasn't yet given such a prestigious location in the show.
That's true. There's 13 Mishnah Torahs over there and 0 in Yaakov.
Hint. Wait.
No offense to the
It
Rambam.
might be the longest running and most consistent show.
We don't have any Yaakov here.
Absolutely. We're on our 4th year now. Can you...
What does that kill me?
Okay,
Should definitely be denied.
that's true.
People can't. I think this 615 is more like a risk of an
שלא כמידת הקדוש ברוך הוא מידת בשר ודם. אוקיי? עין לחודשי מהרשע, which we're not going to look at. תהיינו הקדוש ברוך הוא מידת טובה מרובה ממידת פורענות. ובבשר ודם הוא להפך, מידה רעה מרובה ממידת טובה. That's what Rabbi Levi is trying to teach. Okay? עין שם דבריו בריחוד. ובאמת, לפי מה שאמרו תוספות פרק כמה דסות, which is what we saw, החשבון מה שמידת טובה מרובה אינה עולה סוגיה זו. So Yaakov notes, first of all, when Tosfot asks this question of the 20 to 100 and 1 to 5, he doesn't mention our Gemara at all, which is interesting. That's what the Yaakov says. ועוד יש לומר, דוודאי מספר 8, so now he tries to understand if there's significance to the numbers within Rabbi Levi's dosha. Okay, so what's the significance of the fact that it's 8, right? We said that it's from the Vav to the Mem. Neged ma shefru brit milah. So the curse is with 8 because they didn't keep brit milah. So that's why you curse them with 8. ומהי time גם כן הכהן משמש בשמונה בגדים. And that's why there's 8 בגדי כהונה גדולה. לכן ראויים להתקלל בשמונה. That's why they get cursed with 8 because they didn't listen to the Kohen Gadol. Right? Sometimes with these Roshot, it just feels like anytime a number appears, I'll just pull in all the times it appears and then say they're connected. But בסדר. וכן להפך, הברכות, what are the ברכות?
Anything possible with significance.
Right. ואין להפך, הברכות הן מכיוון הם מקיימים ברית המילה לשמונה, right? כי גדולה המילה כדאית בנדרים. אך שהקדוש ברוך הוא לפי מידתו שהם י"ג מידות. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has 13 attributes, right, of mercy, harachamim, v'gam brit is zchut avot, and why don't we just add on brit avot, right? So how much is that? So yofi, so now aleph nitvasef, so that's yudalid, lechach bircham b'chav bet. So that's why it's all 22 letters, because it's the 8 of the brit milah that they keep, the 13 midot, and zchut avot. Okay? So...
Worked out perfectly.
I have to say, I mean, this is already, I would do it off the record, but on the record. I think Yaakov is I think my favorite parshan. He's very, very sharp. He doesn't ever do, I don't know what, he's usually very, like, he has good insights that are very kind of, this is, I don't know, all over the place, but fine. It speaks to me less, but whatever. Again, then he says the opposite in the opposite direction. Okay. Good. So now I want to look at parallel versions of this midrash, and if you guys can note for me things that don't match up with what we saw in Bava Batra, and then we'll try to understand why. So first of all, in Tanakh B'Eliyahu Rabbah, in Perek Yudchet, it teaches as follows: Bo re'eh shelo midat basar v'dam midat HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But midat basar v'dam klilato merubeh mibirchato. Aval HaKadosh Baruch Hu eino ken birchato merubeh miklilato. כשברך הקדוש ברוך הוא את ישראל, ברכן מאלף עד תף, מן אם בחוקותיי עד קוממיות, וכשקללן מן ו' עד מ', ואם לא תשמעו עד גאלה נפשם. כיוצא בדבר אתה אומר, and I quote a pasuk from Daniel, וכל ישראל עברו את תורתך, וסור לבלתי שמו בקולך, ותיתן עלינו העלה והשבועה אשר כתובה בתורת משה עבד האלוקים, כי חטאנו לו. So Daniel, he's doing a tefillah here. He said a prayer to Hashem. So he says, because Bnei Yisrael violated all your mitzvot, Hashem, so you actually implemented all of the curses that you wrote in the Tochacha that actually happened because we sinned against you. So Ma Talmud Lomar, what does that teach me? So it notes, right, when he says Avru et Toratecha, Bnei Yisrael violated et Toratecha, et is Aleph Taf, so it's all 22 of the klalot, right? That this is talking about the klalot that Moshe Rabbeinu had in Parashat Kitavo, that it was with Klalan.
The reason why it is called it.
No, it's not. It's a drasha, right? Now it's interesting because if you remember, Rabbi Levi saw right there was 22 letters, but it was Vav to Hey, and we did the loop around.
Et is about all the Torah.
It's about all the Torah.
Avru et kol hamizvot.
Right, but then it continues and says, "Vatiten lanu ha'ala v'ashvua asher ktuva b'Torah Moshe v'Elokim." I think it's tying the fact that v'im lo tishmu mitzvot Hashem, then you will get all the klalot. But you're right.
It's in Vaya.
Yeah. So that's the Tanakh B'Eliyahu. Note that he only brings the first. In other words, he brings the proof of Hashem's mercy with the psukim, but doesn't bring the psukim from Kitavo, right? Of Moshe being harsher, of Moshe cursing him with 22, blessing him with 8. Instead, he brings this parallel kind of source from Daniel, which is kind of saying, I think, a similar idea that Moshe Rabbeinu or Basar Vadam. Who's the Basar Vadam? Let me say it differently. Who's the Basar Vadam in Bava Batra? When Rabbi Levi says that Hashem is more merciful than Basar Vadam, the Basar Vadam is Moshe. Who's the Basar Vadam here in Tanakh B'Eliyahu? It seems to me that it's Daniel.
Daniel.
I think so. Because he's saying, they cursed...
Avin, bring it on.
Well, no, he said, Daniel is saying, we violated your whole Torah, me'alef ataf. In other words, the curse that we received is because of 22 letters, that we really deserved it and all this. And it doesn't quote the Moshe's Psukim Kitavo, okay? In Vayikra Rabbah, it says as follows, Perek Lamed Rabbi Abba bered Rabbi Chia b'shem Rabbi Yonatan Amar, Chishafti brachot, chishafti klalot. I calculated blessings, I calculated curses. Brachot me'alef ataf, v'klalot min vav v'ad hey. V'lo od ela she'en afuchot. Okay, the blessings are from Aleph Ataf and the curses are from Vav to Hey. And not only that, but they are reversed. Amar Rabbi Avin, we'll talk about it in a second. Amar Rabbi Avin, im zechiten, hareini ofech lehem kalot lebachor. What does it teach me that the curses are reversed? That if you merit, the curses will become blessings. So what's the difference between what Rabbi Abba says here and what we saw in Bava Batra? And pay attention carefully here actually. What's the difference in what he says here? Brachot me'alef ataf. So what is that similar to? Right, we saw Rabbi Levi said.
He mixed and matched.
Okay, go on.
Both of them, he did all 22. This one he did out of Taf, and here he did Vav Tel Hey. So he pulled, which one was it? He mixed and matched the Bechukosa and the Kitavo.
So both come out in 22. You say one has to be more than the other.
So good. So what you're saying is that he took the brachot of Bechukotai and the klalot of Kitavo, because those were the two cases that Rabbi Levi said were 22. And he says, Chishafti brachot, Chishafti klalot. But then what does he do? He says the fact that it's true that they're both 22, but the fact that the klalot are 22 go from vav to hey instead of aleph ataf, that teaches me that the klalot are actually bachot, even though they're 22, because it's like I need to go backwards, and there's 0. That's what he's. In other words, from vav to hey is nothing, right? But you can't go from vav and loop around. Now, as Rabbi Levi said, it's like the machloket in Ramikov, right? So Rabbi Levi said you can go from vav all the way to hey, and that right.
It was invented in Israel. It was ready in
Didn't know
Still
that.
made it. All the ones you sell worldwide still made in Ireland.
It's made in
Why?
Israel?
Why
You
does
got
it
a
have to
random
be
copy in
from
England,
vav
look
to
in the
hey?
small
Why
book,
can't it be
made in
from
Ireland.
bet to aleph?
Good question. So we're going to discuss that. Very good.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Right? So Rabbi Levi says I can go from vav and loop around to hey. I go forward, right? But that shows me, and it's by klalot. So what do I do with that? Oh, Moshe Rabbeinu said those klalot. So it teaches me that Moshe is not like Hashem. Whereas Rabbi Abba doesn't mention here anything about Moshe. Ein midat basar v'dam kol midat HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Abba doesn't mention that, right? He says the whole Torah is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ben b'chukotai, ben kitavo. The fact that Moshe said the kitavo, and we should have asked this before on Rabbi Levi, it's still klalot. Like so does that mean that Hashem sanctions the klalot of Moshe that are worse than the ones he said? Right? Rabbi Abba seems to say the vav ad hey, I can't go all the way around because there's an end to the aleph bet. I can't go from 13 to 1. So instead, I go backwards from vav to hey, and that means kilu ein klum, that the klalot are actually really bachot. And that teaches me that because it's vav to hey, but the bachot are aleph through taf. So Rabbi Ava has a different teaching slightly than Rabbi Levi, even though it's the same core idea. But I want to suggest that actually there's another way to read this as well, which is a completely different understanding that is in line with Rabbi Levi, and that's based on Tanchum Yeladeinu. And we'll see this is actually quite brilliant. The Tanchuma says the following. Re'eh Anuchi, that's the pasuk it's mentioning. Anuchi shebacharti batova. Re'eh ach Anuchi meshuneh mikol haolam. Hashem is saying, see how I'm different from the rest of the world. Shelo yamru habriot ksheba Moshe levarchenu me'at barchenu. Ksheba lekalenu harbe kilelanu. Ketzad haklalot shebetorat kohanim. The klalot in Parsha Bechukotai. 30 psukim chaser achat. So there's 29 psukim of curses, ve'abachot 11, and 11 psukim of blessings. So the Tanchuma says for the first time, the thing that to me was the biggest emphasis, that it's a very big difference in the number of psukim. Not just their tochen, but their kamut. Amar Rabbi Shmuel, Mishim abit bahen. Rabbi Shmuel says, yeah, but you're not really reading it correctly. You're too caught up on the number of psukim. You're not really understanding what's going on. Whoever really understands, there's more brachot than klalot. How so? Ketzad, brachot patach be'alef, im b'chukotai telechu, v'siyem betaf, v'olech etchem kom miut. So far, so good. This is what we saw with Rabbi Levi. She'abrachot ba'ot alehem me'alef ataf, v'aklalot. But how is that better than the klalot? V'aklalot patach bevav, v'im lo tishmu, v'siyem behei, b'yad Moshe. Ben vav hey and klum. What did he do here?
Who?
He said it's not
Change the ending.
It's the rule. You can't go from Taf to Aleph.
No.
He changed the ending of the klalot.
Yeah. So open up Parshat Vayikra. This is why, or Parshat Bechukotai. Sorry. This is why I said before. So if you look at the Tochacha.
By the way, Ze'im, you could say Vav Shel Chibur Aleph. Ze'im Bechubit.
No, that would be a stretch. So if you look at the end of Perek Chavav, okay? So Perek Chavav is the whole klala, all these terrible things are going to happen to.
Where's he just continues till the end of the parak.
So you see where it says Gala Nafsham at the end of Mem Daled? Okay. So Rabbi Levi said the Tochacha, the klalot, go until Chukotei Gala Nafsham with the Mem Sofit. Whereas here the Tanchuma is saying you go until Biad Moshe. Now why? Because what did these last 3 psukim in the parak say? Ve'af gam zol biotam be'eretz avim ve'lo me'astim ve'lo ga'altim l'chalotam l'chei b'titam ki neshem l'kechem ve'zacharti lem brit rishonim v'asher tzeitem etutam le'ne. In other words, it's not a klala anymore. It's saying after all the klalot,
I'm still there.
I won't destroy you completely. I'll still save you, even with all the terrible klalot. So Rabbi Levi said you have to end the klalot at Gala Nafsham, which is a mem. I don't include these last three psukim. These last three psukim are like a sikum. They're Ele chukim mishpatim v'torot shenatan Hashem b'yad Sinai b'yad Moshe. That's not part of the klalot, Rabbi Levi says, right? So it ends at mem. So how do I understand if it ends at mem? So I said the klalot are only 8. But the Tanchuma, right, when he says from Vav ad Hey, so he's saying until Biyad Moshe, because he says it's all one parasha. There's no break between this and this. This is the ending, but it's part of the curses. So now what do? I go from Vav to Hey. So he says, you go backwards and there's nothing. In other words, they come to the same conclusion that the brachot are greater than the kalalot, but because they end the parak in different places, the klalot in different places, they have to come up with different explanations about how I understand why the klalot are less than the brachot, right? And so, perhaps if we go back to Vayikra Rabbah, that's also what's going on, right? When Vayikra Rabbah, we said brachot me'alef ad taf, klalot min vav ad hey, right? Yona, you said he's taking klalot min vav ad hey from kitavo, right? He's taking in the klalot go from vav to hey in kitavo, or he's taking the klalot from also from Bechukotai, but he's adding those extra psukim like the Tanchuma does, and not like Rabbi Levi and Bava Batra. So it's hard to know from Vayikra Rabbah which thing he's doing. Okay, so I thought that was just an interesting idea. All right, let's just finish off the Tanchuma here.
Maybe that's like the makom for the mistake. They knew hey to vav, vav to hey, so they looked in the psukim where it's hey, and it's or here or there.
Say it again. Yeah.
Like maybe they knew like the Masorah or whatever was vav till hey.
Right.
They didn't have any pasuk, so there's like 2 options.
Right. It's like, do I take it from Kitavo and I say there's no difference between Moshe and Hashem, or do I find a different hey and say that exactly? Right. Because what's interesting here, the Tanchuma, another way just to be very very meduyak in this, the Tanchuma it opened right. Reach anuchi mishunem mikol haolam. In other words, it also introduces by Hashem saying, right. Lo midat HaKadosh Baruch Hu midat basar v'dam. So if that's my context, I can't take it from Kitavo, because the whole point is Hashem is different from Moshe. So therefore, the Vav to Hey has to be from Bechukotai, which is Hashem speaking, so I have to extend it to the Hey if I'm using the Hey, and extend the Psukim. Whereas in Vayikra Rabbah, when it said Klalot mid Vav ad Hey, it doesn't say anything about Lo midat HaKadosh Baruch Hu midat basar v'dam. So we could have said, like Yonah said, that even in Vayikra Rabbah, it had the same tradition of Vav ad Hey, but maybe it was taking it from Kitavo. There's no way to know. So it's very, very, you have to be very sharp in the reads here. Let's finish the Tanchuma here. Okay, Amar Rabbi Levi. And now it's interesting, who's speaking now at the end of Tanchuma Yelendenu, 3 lines off the bottom. So Rabbi Levi is the one who spoke in Bava Batra, right? Who didn't say Vav ad He, he said Vav ad Mem. So here, he clearly argues in how to read the Klalot in Bechukotai, but it doesn't seem to mention his different opinion in Bava Batra. He just adds something unrelated, or related but a different point. He's not like arguing on the ending, which I thought was interesting, because clearly based on Bava Batra, I think you have to conclude it would have made sense for him to here say V'aklalot patach bevav im lo tishmu v'siyem b'mem ga'ala nafsham instead of b'ad Moshe. And then Amar Rabbi Levi, no, ad mem, not ad hey, but he says something else. Mashal lemelech she'aya lo ben. It's a parable to a king that has a son. He brings him to the palace. He shows him all these great, all this wealth. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, like a platter of food and all that stuff, right? Amar ben Laviv, who's it for? Amar whoever praises me gets it. And what are the swords, right? Who are the swords for? And so there's food and there's swords, right? So whoever praises me gets the food, whoever goes against me gets the swords. In other words, he says, it's all about perspective, right? If you're reading the psukim and you are caught up on the fact that there's so many more psukim of klalot than brachot, so then you'll get the swords because you're focused on the fact that there's so many klalot. But if you force yourself to read it in a way that it's aleph ad taf versus vav ad hey or vav ad mem, so then you'll get the tamchui of fruit. It's all about.
So who's writing the machlokas?
למשל, it sounds like the נשמע שהמשל זה like you, for someone that you love, המלך, he shows you 2 things, they're equally just this is good, this is bad, you kind of focus on the good, right?
Yeah.
So the good is a lot emphasized, and little is said it's not so bad. Or is really tamchuim parterim different sides.
You're saying because it's tamchuim alei kol tov and parterim chayavot, there were more swords. You're saying.
Also charev, whatever, charava.
Yeah,
I don't think
but that it's more because it's a whole,
It was less.
like the pshat in the number of psukim. In other words.
Tamchuim, what's parterim?
Fair. Very good. Manyan. Okay. Yeah, could be.
The mashal fits.
Right.
It's kind of.
So just to conclude, the mashal fits. You said, and Rabbi Levi, what's he motivated by? So, I think this reminded me of another example where I saw in a totally different context. Rabbi Levi, I feel like pulls the same trick where he takes the psukim where the pshat seems to portray HaKadosh Baruch Hu chas v'chalila as being, too harsh, and he reinterprets them to show dafka afuch, that Hashem was merciful. Okay, and what's that example? That example is actually by the luchot, and with this we'll conclude. So at the very right before Chet HaEgel, Hashem is speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu about all the kelim and this and that and stuff, and then it says vayikcha oto ledaber im Moshe vayiten leMoshe et haluchot k'tuvo be'etzba Elokim vayar ha'am ki boshesh Moshe. Okay, so Hashem gives Moshe the luchot, and then the people do Chet HaEgel. What happens after the people do Chet HaEgel? Vayikumu l'sachek, right? Vayomer Hashem el Moshe lech red ki shichet amcha dalda. So was Moshe received the luchot according to, if you read the psukim l'fi seder, Moshe receives the luchot. All of the Chet HaEgel happens. In other words, Aaron says during it Chag L'Hashem Machar, and they do a whole thing, right? So it takes at least a day, and then Hashem speaks to Moshe lech red ki shichet amcha. So if you read the psukim just l'fi sidram, Moshe is just like standing there with the luchot in his hands for well over a day, just frozen until Chet HaEgel happens. So is that what happened?
Frozen?
Not frozen. I'm saying that the timing doesn't seem to make sense. So what does that mean? Vayiten el Moshe Rabbanin Amrei Ilu asu Yisrael oto ma'aseh ad shelo nitnu haluchot leMoshe lo hayu yordim biyado. Chazal say Hashem kivyachol rushed to give the luchot to Moshe Rabbeinu right before Chet HaEgel happened, because if they had done Chet HaEgel before Moshe received the luchot, then he wouldn't have gotten them. Which is, and the Rabbanan say this, which is a very striking claim, because the luchot, the Torah, right? The whole purpose of creation is to receive the Torah. This and that. You're saying if it had been just a few hours earlier and they had done Chet HaEgel and Hashem hadn't managed to sneak in the luchot, then they wouldn't have gotten it. That's what the Rabbanan say. Rabbi Levi Amar.
It's interesting because at the end Moshe breaks them.
He does break them.
God was going to give them the
Yeah.
luchot. It's midato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said, take it anyways.
Yeah.
But Moshe is like, what you're not getting this.
Okay. So you're saying Rabbanan or saying what I wanted to say Rabbi Levi is going to say. Okay. Rabbi Levi Amar, מי שעשו אותו מעשה, נתן הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה את הלוחות. כמו שכתוב, ויתן למשה כחלתו לדבר איתו. That Rabbi Levi says...
Who's right in the machloket?
Who's right? So machloket is... It's not about who's right, but they're trying to emphasize different aspects of the Torah when they have their different opinions. Rabbi Levi says, and really the luchot were given after Chet HaEgel. Right? That the pasuk that says "Vayiten Moshe kechalto ledaber ito" is just perhaps because he's giving all the halachot, and then you can't just go straight to Chet HaEgel. You need to say that that there was a discussion and it ended and fine, but that the luchot were actually given after Chet HaEgel. Again, the psukim are out of order. So let's look at HSF quickly and then just kind of conclude. So HSF Shemi de Katva. Okay, 1 second. We'll talk about it. Thank you. Shemi de Katva Torah Nitinat Luchot Kodem Latziat HaEgel Shema Mina Shekach Haya Maaseh. Right, according to Rabbanan, you read it according to the Seder. והוראה לנו התורה בזה שאילו קדמה המעשה לנטילת הלוחות לא היה הדין נותן ליתן להם הלוחות. Right, Hashem wouldn't have given them הלוחות. ומשה אף על פי שנודע לו מעשיהם, even though Moshe knew their actions, מכל מקום לא הניחם שם, אלא קחם עמו ושברן, אחר כך. כדי שיראו ישראל מה שהפסידו. Okay, so he claims that Moshe Rabbeinu did it b'chavana to teach Bnei Israel a lesson and not out of anger. That's a whole other shiur that we've done in the past. I think we've done a shiur on the different reasons behind. I think so.
Yeah.
The different reasons why. Yasher kochacha sheshibarta and this whole thing. Okay.
I was there.
Rabbi Levi Palig midichtiv vayitenu Moshe kechalto ledaber ito. It says when he finished speaking to him, v'dibur lo nigmar ad lemacharato b'yom ridato. Okay? וסביר לרבי לוי, אף שכבר חטאו, נתנם לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, שלא למנוע מהם הטובה. What is the reason why Hashem gave them the luchot? Or why is Rabbi Levi insisting that the luchot were given after Chet Egel? To show that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not refrain from giving them the tova even after a sin is chamur as Chet Egel. וזה מחסדו יתברך. Moshe Shivran shelo b'rtzon Hashem. And according to him, this is already there, Joseph's explanation, that when Moshe broke them, it wasn't Yesher Kol Chacha Sheshivarta. It was actually Moshe did something Hashem did not want him to do. And the fact that they're out of order, in other words, Rabbi Levi, I think, is confronted with psukim which seem to indicate that Midat HaDin of Kadosh Baruch Hu is so strong that it would punish Bnei Yisrael more than bless them. Similar to how the Tochacha and the Bachot are less psukim than the Klalot, and Rabbi Levi says, no, it's Miduk Afuch, Adarabba, right? Ibchei Istamwa. And here he's doing the same thing. He's saying, you want to tell me that the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu snuck into Luchot right before Chet Egel was because they wouldn't have gotten it? Afuch. Hashem waited until after Chet Egel and still gave them the Luchot to show you Chasdo Yitbarach, to show you that Hashem loves Bnei Yisrael and that the Bachot outnumber the Klalot. So I would argue Rabbi Levi is consistent with this Shita.
But Moshe threw the luchot when he saw it.
That's right.
So